Whoa, holy moly, stock market and crypto, they're still on fire, going crazy. And it is interesting to see what's going on because a lot of people are still not really bearish enough. Some people are still saying, oh, what are the 3 good stocks I should have? Or there's some people hoping their crypto goes back up. A lot of people are saying, oh, diamond hands, or I'm not gonna sell. But it doesn't make sense because if you think about it, why would crypto go back up? There's really no catalyst in the works. Federal Reserve is not your friend anymore. They are committed to raising rates no matter what, it seems right now. So this is causing what I'm considering the beginning stages possibly of a financial crisis. What do you think, Danny?
Because is it possible that the people that started these memes would hold all of everything and they're actually making it more of a slow motion crash because they're not selling?
Oh, it could be
holding it.
I think that it actually is the worst risk management philosophy that they're trying to promote, because they're saying you should never sell your Bitcoin. But that doesn't make sense, because if you think about it, wouldn't you make so much more money with Bitcoin if you were to sell it when it's a higher price and you buy it back when it's lower? A lot of people right now are saying this proves Bitcoin is garbage and useless, but that's actually not what it proves. It proves it's a very volatile instrument, and if you are wise enough to sell at the proper point, you avoid this massive pain that people are having. And the pain is kind of predictable because of course Bitcoin will go down at some point. Nobody knew exactly when it would crash, but there were signs where it was weakening, and that was the time for people to realize, oh, okay, this doesn't look so good anymore. Maybe it's time for me to bail. And the truth is, Bitcoin has always reached new highs, that's true, but you could make so much more money if you were to bail out at the highs, and even not at the very top, but near the top. And you don't even have to buy at the very bottom, because that's too hard to predict. How do you know when something is a bottom? I'll give you an example why I think the stock market will go down a lot more. I see some of these clowns on YouTube, they're buying stuff like Shopify. They're saying, oh, it's a great company, great management, and it's down 85%, and it looks cheap, and maybe the PE is cheap now, but you're supposed to base your analysis of future PE, not past PE. So I think the PE on Shopify stock is still 74 times next year's earnings. That means the stock is still expensive. You guys, that doesn't make any sense to say, oh, this is cheap. It's not a cheap stock, even though it's gone a lot. You don't go based upon the price of the stock, you base it on the earnings. You have to use your brain. So what happened is that the Federal Reserve caused people to not really use their brain when it came down to investing. That's why so many people are losing their money. They became lazy. They just thought, oh, I just throw the dart at the screen and I could just buy any stock and I would make money. And that's not really true anymore. In fact, I think for 2022, I don't know about the whole year, but maybe most of the year, the absolute best position is to be in cash and lose 8% from inflation. There's a famous economist known as Mark Faber. He said, this is the year you have to learn to lose the least. It's not about making money this year, right, Danny? Seems like losing the least is the best possible solution.
Or you short the market, but very carefully.
You have to be very careful if you're shorting the market, and it's not because I think the market is strong or because there's any great there's not any really great recovery stories. It's just that when it comes down to extreme positions and everybody is short, that's when the market will, at least temporarily, all of a sudden start doing something crazy, and it will just start shooting way up all of a sudden for no apparent reason. And that's something you don't want to be involved in if you can avoid it. But if you look at the major stocks, they all are bad. Tesla, it looks like it's going to break down to the 500 range. That's not a good stock. I know that you have people like me, Kevin. I think he was even on margin, and he's still holding I don't know, like $1 million worth of Tesla. That makes absolutely no sense. Even stocks like Berkshire Hathaway, I mean, I don't think that's going to crash, but it's definitely down. People I guess they're forced to sell even the pretty strong stocks. Nothing really looks good in this market. I definitely not want to actually encourage you to consider buying anything. I think you need to wait for the crash to be done, because we actually might be just getting started, because valuations are being reset. You know, they were talking about the Great Reset. This might be the Great Reset they were talking about, but it has to do with stocks. If you raise the rates, then people have to reevaluate what everything is worth, and Federal Reserve no longer has a put or cares about stocks. They really honestly don't care if it goes down a lot. And crypto, it actually looks like a very unstable system lately. Like, you have these stable coins that have gone down 99%. It was supposed to be stable. It means people were not expecting any risk whatsoever. They just thought, oh, it's like a money market fund. I assume, to be honest, never been a big fan of regulation, but I have to assume that Congress is not going to like seeing stable coins go down 99%. Especially, a lot of people are going to be complaining, say that's fraud or whatever, and maybe that's true. And maybe they're going to make it more like a money market kind. You have to actually have the cash. You can't do some Bitcoin arbitrage, something complicated. The more complicated something is that nobody can understand, the more likely it is to break. Like, I don't even understand why it broke. And I guarantee you, most of the people who had their money in these kinds of things that where they lost all money, I'm sure they had no clue how this works either. So if you don't understand how something works, it's probably a bad thing, because it's probably too complicated, and at some point there will be some fragile element that breaks and somebody will lose a lot of money, and that's not good. But in terms of Bitcoin, yeah, I think that the decline is kind of almost reasonable considering what it is. I mean, Nasdaq is down 31%. I think Bitcoin is down 50 or 55%, something like that. So it's somewhat reasonable for Bitcoin to be down that much. So that doesn't mean you have to hold it, though. I think too many people think you have to hold everything forever. And I'm not even saying to day trade either, because I don't think there's any point to day trading. I'm talking about like the longer term trends, and the trend right now is down. I'm probably the only YouTuber out there who's actually just telling you the truth and saying, hey, why not just sell, or at least wait for a bounce and then sell. That's my opinion. So click the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.